Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. And here we are on episode number 50. And before we go on toward the next 50, toward 100, I figured that we should probably catch up on things that got left undone. And the biggest example of that is the Glagg saga. And if you recall, when we were going through the Glagg saga, this was the first time that Kevin was telling anybody about it. And he got, pretty shook up a couple times, and he sort of had to change the subject to go on to other things. And so for the benefit of everybody who wondered about those things, we're going to actually go back, and we're going to address them. And Kevin's going to finish answering those questions or subjects that we got started on and never finished. And so with that, let me bring back our repeated guest and one of the big favorites here on World Bigfoot Radio, Kevin. Welcome back, buddy.
How you doing, Duke? How you doing, everybody? I'm a repeat offender.
Repeat offender on World Bigfoot Radio, that's right. Well, it's good to have you back, man. I'm glad we're going to be able to get the rest of this covered here so that you pretty much have as close as you can remember after your stroke, complete details of the stuff that happened during the 5 years that you were interacting with Glagg. So I guess let's do it in chronological then. Do you want to start off with the earliest questions that didn't really get answered and kind of work our way toward the end of the story then?
What I did was, as I was listening to the story again, I actually didn't listen to it all the way through like I did recently. And I noticed that there's a whole bunch of times that we started on something, and when I started showing a little bit of emotion or getting choked up, you would guide me away from that and get me back on track to something else. But we'd step away from that issue, and we never did actually get to go back to it. And so just what I had jotted down was some of those things that I started to talk about, but never actually got to finish for one reason or the other. And then actually there's quite a few of those that I noticed. If that's all right.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, the first one that I have, I don't think they're in great chronological order, but the first one that I thought that needed more touching on was when I started to discuss, when my brothers followed me up that time, and what was Glagg's attitude about my brother's situation, when they followed me up and when they were haranguing me like they always did, but it was up there, not at the house. And people wanted to know what Glagg thought of that. Like, not that I know what he thought, but I could tell by his actions that he didn't like it. And I just never got to elaborate on that any. And I'll try to a little bit here.
This is when you were up in your hunting field where you had met Glagg to start with, and that was the initial place where you were meeting with him all the time.
Yeah. Yes, and that's where I took off one day, and two of my brothers followed me up, and I didn't know they was following me until about half hour later after I got there is when I finally heard a couple of motorcycles, and got Glagg to go hide. And when they got there, I realized it was my brothers, and they started doing the same thing that they always did, like when we was at the house. And that's where Glagg, I don't know what, he recognized if it was scent or, like we talked about, maybe he had been to town and saw, certain family members, but when he was over out of the way, he got excited and started to step out and show himself and come over, and that's when I freaked out, and tried to keep, Glagg back in there, made them some hand gestures, and I think the expression on my face and probably the way that I smelled with fear, the pheromones or whatever they're called, but he knew that I didn't want him to come out, and that was confusing to him because I think he knew it was family. How he knew that, I don't know. But just by the way he acted in that first little bit, he was excited that they were there and was getting ready to come out, and I'm the one that had a problem with it. And then after they, started doing the typical things that they always did, picking on me and giving me crap and just, being like they always were, Glagg over there did not like it at all. It started making him mad. And I'm glad they left when they did, because I don't know how much more Glagg would have put up with them, doing what they were doing. I think his bottle was just about full when they decided to take off. And that was extremely difficult to try to explain to him. And how he explained, well, that's hard to explain. But getting the point across that even my family, even my brothers, you don't want, to stay away from humans so much that you don't even show yourself to my brothers. And that concept was difficult to get across to him, but he finally understood that it's just, a 1 in a million is me. Most people would be different than I was towards him, I believe, and I think I got that across to him. Just reiterating over and over again, it doesn't matter who it is, just stay away from people, and people are bad. For the most part, I know there's other people out there that in the same situation would do exactly what I did, but those people would be few and far between, I think, especially back then.
Yeah.
But it was upsetting to him. It was hard for him to understand, and then I think it was saddening, if that makes sense. I remember it bothering him that I didn't trust even my brothers around him. And that, I think, is what made him, realize a little bit more about how unique the situation was when I didn't even want my brothers to know he was there. It gets back into how many times I've said that, how intelligent they are. I mean, that's a huge, in-depth concept, and he grasped it. It was a bit difficult to explain, but you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I also bet it's something that actually made him closer to you, because he had lost his family, and here you are, and you got a family, but you don't even get along with them.
Yeah, I prefer to go up there and be with him than with my family. Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to, is that after he grasped that concept, that just strengthened our bond. I think it was the right thing to do. Yeah, I wouldn't trust my brothers with him, let alone anybody else.
Yeah.
And that gets into, during that time, I think there was 1 or 2 times before my brothers came up that just being up there, hunters or hikers, wasn't very many hikers, but there was quite a few, off-road vehicles, pickup trucks and dirt bikes. And every once in a while I was there, I'm not sure how many times it happened when I wasn't there, but there was a couple of times that people got really close. And it was me that was always extremely concerned about it, more so than he was. But I think the way that I acted when, we couldn't even see him, but when you could hear him, the way I acted when there was another human being close, I freaked out, which, in turn, hopefully Glagg associated that with it. That's how it was easy to, get the concept across. Don't, just if you see a human, go the other way. Don't even give him an opportunity to see you.
Yeah.
I wanted him to stay safe and nobody to know he was there. And I think that my brother's situation is what helped, excuse me, was what helped with that whole concept about staying away from people, especially with what happened to his family. And then with the hunters or hikers or, off-roaders, whatever it was, that had got up there close, there's a couple of times that when we heard them, like a ridge or two over, four-wheeling, there's a couple four-wheel drive trails that were fairly close to there, and we would go spy on them, not like spy, but we'd go watch what they were doing, and that was more Glagg's doing than mine, which the curiosity thing, and them wanting to watch. I never even made that correlation until we were talking about it in the first episodes when I mentioned that, but I don't think I got to get this far into it. But when there's a few times when hunters were close that we would actually stay in cover and just watch them off from a distance. And that's when I'd always keep trying to tell Glagg, just stay hidden, stay away from him, don't get any closer. In the episodes that I told that, not only other humans, but uniforms, people in uniform, especially uniforms, stay away from them. And that's when I would take pictures up, and after a while he knew what a photograph was and took pictures of, like the coloring book from the Fish and Game office, the picture of the Fish and Game officer, his uniform, military uniform, anything with a uniform, that specific look, even though they look different, you can tell a uniform, just especially stay away from them. Because there's that one time that Fish and Game officer showed up, and that's, I think, what was the kicker that eventually got me to where I knew I needed to be getting farther away from town, was when I was up there and I got approached by a Fish and Game officer that just appeared out of nowhere, probably hiking around looking for poachers, and then wanted to know what I was doing up there by myself. He's like, "What are you doing up here by yourself?" And that's when I was able to show Glagg that guy, he went off and hid, didn't show himself, and it was just me and that Fish and Game officer, and just us two up there, and how that guy treated me, like he was very, very aloof. It wasn't, some of the bad ones that you've heard people talk about. It wasn't anything like that. It's just, he was like, do your parents know where you're at? Well, what do you think? I don't have a house up here. I'm not running away. It's just me and my motorcycle up here goofing off, having fun away from town. But dealing with that allowed me to show Glagg, see that, especially that guy in the uniform, stay away from him. And was able to point out, the gun on his hip and everything. You guys in uniform, just keep away from him.
What do you think he was doing up there? Do you think he found your recurring motorcycle tracks and was wondering what you were up to?
Well, that's the thing is, it could have been any number of things. It could have been a tip that somebody was going back and forth up Bob Moore Creek. You could see it from town, the first part that I'd head up the mountain on. If you was looking at that time, you'd see the dust trail and my bike going straight up the mountain. But, there's anything. We had this one Fish and Game officer in town that would crawl out there on his belly and lay in the muddy, dirty forest for 4 days just to catch a poacher. They just all over the place. Sometimes in their vehicle, sometimes just walking. They'd have somebody drop them off at point A and pick them up 2 or 3 days later at point B. Just seeing if they could catch people. The big thing was out of season hunters was huge. It's one of the things they did not tolerate at all. But it could have been any number of things, but it's just all speculation on why it's there. But it freaked me out bad when, just minding our business, goofing off, and here comes a Fish and Game officer just out of the woodwork. Extremely unsettling. And that, I used all of that to help reiterate the not trusting people, and those were some of the examples I used, some of the things I used to help me explain it to him. I remember people asking, how did I explain it to him? It was situations like that I used, the visual part of it.
Yeah.
And with just the way we communicated. I'm not really sure how I did it, but hopefully that will help, understand a little bit better.
Right on. So you only ran into the guy up there the one time then?
Only one Fish and Game officer. There was, not more than 10, maybe 4 to 6 times that there was other hunters or just people up in the mountains that were close, come right through where we were. It was that one time with the Fish and Game officer, only that once. And that was the kicker, when I decided he needed to get farther away.
Yeah.
Because you could see the first, like I said, the mountain on the north end of town, you could see the trail right up the face of that mountain that I'd ride on. That was the first part of my trip up there, back over into the back. And anybody in town looking north could see it.
Yeah, probably somebody got a hold of them. Why does that motorcycle keep going up there all the time?
Yep. There's motorcycles everywhere all the time, but it's just that one trail right there up that particular creek that everybody in town could see. Yeah. So probably some busybody sitting in their living room looking out their bay window. I wonder why he's got to be doing something wrong. He goes up there all the time.
He's probably got a steal up there.
Yeah. What, the one, do I make a shot glass at a time?
Yeah. It's a very small operation.
Pounds of equipment in my milk crate that's strapped to the fender.
It's a very small operation.
Yep.
All right. Well, so what's the next one that we missed?
Well, it gets. I think it's a little bit before that. But when I would make a plan to return back up there, how did I get that across to him? You know, how did Glagg know when I would come back, and how did we communicate that? I think I did a decent job explaining how, day and night, and that's one day.
Yeah, you talked about running through the little boxes on the ground with the little sun and moon things in them and stuff.
And then I would plan on, do my best to get, the day that I wanted to come back. And I always tried my best when I told him I'd be there in 7 days or 11 days or 6 days to hit it on that day. Very few times I wasn't able to. And like I said before, I don't know if he was, when I wasn't able to get up there, when I said I would, was he waiting there for me every day until I did show up? I'm not sure. It's something that we didn't talk about. It wasn't important. It's just when I showed up, he was just happy that I was there again. But it was just the way that he was so excited when I was there, and when I was having to leave, him wanting to know when I would come back. I mean, it was easy to get him to grasp that concept and to go, plan on those days. The day and night thing, it was easy for him to, I thought it was anyway. I thought he would grasp it pretty well that he would meet me back here where we're at in 7 days. And he is always there. Except there was a couple of times to where when I couldn't make it, I told you, I don't know why I thought this, but when I waited 7 days and I didn't make it on the 7th day, when I told him 7 days I'd be back and I wasn't able to make it, I waited 7 more. Can't recall if it's something that we had discussed or talked about, or if it's something I just did. I don't remember that. I'm sorry, but if I missed a date when I was supposed to go back up there, I would wait the same amount of time before I'd go up the second time. It might seem weird, but that's just the system that I had. Like I said, that might be part of my stroke, but I don't remember if it's something we discussed or talked about or planned that way, or if it's just the way it happened. But that's what did happen. If I was ever not able to make it up there when I said I would. Looking back on it now, it seems kind of weird that I would wait a full, if I told him 7 days, I'd wait a full 7 days again before I go up there. It seems kind of weird to me nowadays, but I'm not sure why I did it like that. All right. And I wish that there wasn't some of the holes in my memory like I have nowadays, but unfortunately there is. Next, somebody had asked about poop. And did I ever see Glagg poop? And did I see what he did with it? And I don't remember if I touched on that. I just remember seeing that question.
Very briefly. I don't think you did really. I think you just mentioned that you had taught him to bury it. That was it.
Because I buried it, Glagg buried his, and I think that may have been my human influence. I'm not sure if they all do or not, but because I did, I think he did. One kind of funny thing is, dog lovers will know this. If your dog's out going number 2 and you look at them, they get that embarrassed look. When they're squatted down, it's like, oh, don't look at me.
Yeah.
If I happened to see that Glagg doing that, I was like, the same thing is get embarrassed. But I would do the same thing. Glagg, don't look, don't watch. It'd do the same thing. Get embarrassed if you watch them doing their business. Just like I think anybody would. There was always a spot that we would go, not like an outhouse, but there was one particular area that we'd go to that with my little camp shovel, I had a deep hole in it, and we'd dig a deep hole, and when you'd use it, you'd put a little bit over top of it until that hole was full, and then you'd go dig another hole. That's the way I did it. So you wouldn't be having to dig a hole every single time. But that's how Glagg did it. And if that's right or wrong, I can't tell you, but that's the way he did it. Probably because that's the way I had done it.
Well, I know not all of them bury it, because I found a big old pile up there on Blue Mountain over here near where I live when I was camping over there. So.
Yep.
And
I know there's been some piles out there that, it definitely isn't an elk or deer or a bear. Like I said, I couldn't speak on anybody else, but it was trying to remember if it was foreign to him what I was doing when I did that. But that just didn't seem important. But when I finally realized I was digging a hole to cover that up, and I told him it keeps, the smell away, and, people that are good at tracking, it makes it harder for them to find you. The good tracker would be able to find where you dug the hole, but just always, cover your tracks, all tracks. And, when you do that, it's a track.
Yeah.
Trying to keep him hidden away from everybody. And I did know there's a few people that still can't believe that I didn't take any pictures of him and, to document the, validate the species or whatever. But it was a different time. I don't know how to make that any different, but the way that I met Glagg and what had happened, I didn't want anybody to know about him. The attitude towards people was totally different, and I think the attitude towards him would have been totally different than the way he's been. The story of him and I has been received is totally different now than I believe it would have been 25 years ago. And so,
yeah, nobody would have believed you.
And I would have been mercilessly made fun of and ridiculed too. And the way that people have been about, my story has just been awesome. I can't thank everybody enough. And as long as people have questions that they want to ask me, I'll answer questions to the best of my ability.
And just so all of you know, Kevin does have more or less direct access to you at this point, because he's got a Facebook group called Glagg Land, Glagg Land, and you can go there and hang out, and you can you're doing live chats once a week now, and
trying to do them once a week.
Questions. Yeah, people can post questions, and he'll answer the questions on the live chat. So if y'all want to know more about Glagg and meet Kevin and talk to Kevin, that's where to go. Glagg Land on Facebook.
And just so you know, when they post, one of the people that helped me out will post that there's going to be a live chat on a certain day. If you want to make sure that I see your question, post a comment when his name's Chris, when he posts the next chat, leave a comment with your question, and he makes sure that I see those. When the chat's going, it goes by so fast that I can't catch everything. So if you want to make sure I see the question, post it. Leave a comment under the post for the next Glagland live chat, and he'll make sure that I see those during the chat.
Yeah, Chris collects up the comments for Kevin to read and answer questions on the chats. And so
I will try to answer the ones that I see that are just scrolling up real fast, but I can't catch all of them.
And no, it's understandable, and you've got more people on there all the time too, so there's more people that are trying to shoot questions and comments at you as you're talking, and it just gets to the point where it's so fast that even if you're a speed reader, it's hard to keep up with it.
Yes. And I don't mind going back over and answering the same question again, because I understand that there is people that it might be the first time that they've ever seen it or been able to ask a question. They haven't seen that I had answered the question, 3-4 times before. I don't mind that. So the only dumb question is one that you don't ask, I think. As long as you guys want to know about him and me, I'll answer him till there's no questions asked anymore.
All right. So what else did we miss then?
Well, there's a whole bunch more that I haven't been able to get through all of the episodes yet, but I'm going through them one by one and trying to cover the highlights like these. And I say if anybody wants to know anything else specific, maybe they can comment under this episode, or go to the Glagland chat and ask a question there, post a question there. But for right now, I think I got through my notebook quicker than I thought I was going to today. If there's anything else you can think of that off the top of your head. No, I remember something, but it's out of chronological order, because it'll be jumping around a bit, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. I think everybody that'll be listening to the show for the most part will have already listened to the whole Glagg saga and be well aware of it enough that they'll know what you're referencing.
Okay. Well, this one was about the bad night. A lot of people have asked about, when the night that happened, and when Glagg came across, people wanted to know how he grabbed me by the wrist, wanted to know exactly how, and the main thing was the size issue. People want to know how big. When Glagg grabbed me by the left wrist, the top of his hand was right at the base of my hand, right at the heel of my hand, and his pinky was at my elbow. When Glagg was, so what, is he 13? Somewhere right around there. When he was that age, when he grabbed me by the arm and yanked me up and drug me up to the top of the tree, his hand was as long as my forearm. From his, the top of his hand down to his pinky, it was from the crook of my elbow up to the base of my wrist.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of people that had asked that, and I don't think I ever got a chance to say, it's not like he just grabbed me by the wrist like a parent would a child. It was, his hand covered 2/3 of my arm.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just, if they haven't seen one, they just don't get how huge these things really are. They reference messing the Sasquatch, jack legs, beef jerky, get up the Sasquatch or he'll throw you in a ditch. And it's a big guy in a furry suit. That's like he's the guy in the Jack Legs beef jerky commercial wearing the suit is like a baby Sasquatch.
Yes.
That's a juvenile Sasquatch size. The adult gets way bigger than
the weight of Glagg the first time I saw him.
Yeah.
Maybe the same height. Maybe Glagg was maybe a little bit shorter, but weight-wise, it'd drop in the bucket. Yeah. What I have found that works pretty good is we as humans want to associate something with what we know. So if you're going out looking for a Bigfoot and you've never seen one before, you want to equate it to something that your mind can wrap around. So you're thinking you're going to go see a big Andre the Giant covered in hair. And when you get out there and you finally see one, and it's not an Andre the Giant, it's an elephant covered with hair. People don't expect that. This is what you expect if you know anything about it. And when you see something that's 10 times what you expected, even thinking that you're thinking way outside the box, when you see that, that's why a lot of people have, I don't think they were bad encounters, but the way they interpret it, because they're so freaked out, because your mind is like, what is that?
Well, another good example of that is the possible tree peekers video that we accidentally caught some possible Bigfoot on Patty Canyon here in September, and didn't realize it and didn't find him in the video until December and put that out. And then finally it just melted enough that a little bit less than 2 weeks ago we could get up back on the mountain where we had filmed the original shots and do some comparison shots and see if there was anything there. And as it turned out, two of them, one was a shadow and one was like some kind of a bush or a stump or something. We found it in comparison footage. But the one in the middle, suspect number 2, it ain't there no more. So I went and stood in the same place, and, it's like this giant Bigfoot-shaped thing that was standing there. And, man, when I'm standing in the same place and it was a comparison picture of where he was and where I'm standing in the same place, again, it's just like what Kevin was just saying. It's like an elephant. It's freaking huge. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm standing there with my arms straight up in the comparison shot. And when you overlay him and look at the two, I'm not even touching his shoulder at 9 feet.
Yes.
And he's wide. He's no tall, skinny beanpole. He's built like the Incredible Hulk. He's massive and probably 11 feet.
Yes. And, oh, man, that thing is big.
Yeah, and every time I look at it, it scares me.
He was right there.
Right there, yep. And when we were up there doing the comparison shots, they were right up there then, too.
Yep.
And one of them threw a little boulder, a little mini boulder, a little baseball-sized rock at Jeff to get his attention, and went boom into the hillside and rolled down right past him. And, right away, instead of getting freaked out, he's like, oh, yeah, Bigfoot throw rocks. They must be around here. And
yeah, there's one 3 feet behind you in a picture that you had just taken.
Yeah, one of our, Corey, one of our members of my group, actually, within an hour or so of me posting comparison shots, took a closer look at it and went, hey, there's a Bigfoot behind you photobombing you in this picture. Like, what? Well, we took several shots of me with like one arm up and one with my arms outstretched and one with just my arms down and stuff, all within a few seconds of each other. So we had comparison shots from the same angle and everything to take a look at. And the other one that I sent to him, again, he found the face in the same place, except this time it was turned at a different angle, looking in a different direction. So
shadows don't turn their head.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy. He was probably like about 20 feet behind me, standing behind this tree watching me. Oh, what's he doing? He's over there in the same place as Mr. Big was the last time they were up here. God.
Yep.
So, yeah, stealthy beyond the beyond. Gigantic and still stealthy.
Yep. That's, one thing I always tried to get across is natural abilities. Your mind can't comprehend their natural abilities. How fast they can move, how quiet they can be, how still they can stand. You could walk right up to one and you could run into it and not know you run into it. Think it's a tree.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's plenty of reports of people doing that, practically walking right into them, being like 5-10 feet away from it, and all of a sudden it moves, and oh no, that's not a huge stump or a tree or something. There's a critter right there. Oh my God,
That big, oak tree stump that's sitting there that's about 12 feet tall gets up and walks away.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit of a heart-stopping moment when that kind of stuff kind of happens. I think the thing that got me about the face behind me that Corey found was that the I think you probably heard the story about when I was 2015, I was about a half a mile away from there, and I was going up to my camp, and there's a stump there, and I had just got done watching something about pareidolia, and I went, wow, that stump looks like it has a face on it. Awesome. I want to get a picture of it. And as I reached for my camera in my little hip pouch, the face on the stump suddenly glared at me, and I went, oh, crap, that's not a stump. And it was like 60 feet away from me, and I'm like, I'm not going to take a picture. I don't think he likes this idea. So I just suddenly decided to pretend that I really didn't see the face suddenly glaring at me. And I just kind of kept walking and went to camp and hoped that he wouldn't be angry about me having busted him pretending to be a stump. But it was just funny. It was like I looked at him and I go, damn, that stump looks like it has a face on it. And I go to reach for my camera, and all of a sudden the angle of the eyebrows on the face changes, and it starts glaring at me. And I realized that, A, that's not a stump. And, of course, I wasn't getting mind speak from him or anything. But if I was, it would have been an exchange like, hey, that looks like a stump. I'm going to get a picture of it. I'm a stump. Holy crap, that stump has a face on it. Dude, I'm a stump. Okay, you're a stump. I'm going back to my camp.
Put your camera away. I'm just a stump. Okay,
yes, that's good. I'm not taking, you're close enough that you could take about 3 steps and be here and clobber me. So I'm not going to try and take your picture. I'm just going to keep walking.
I'm just going to pretend that you're a stump.
Mm.
Wait, I am a stump.
Yep. That's right. You're a stump. I'm going to continue on now. You convinced me. That glare made me absolutely convinced that you're a stump.
That low rumble from deep in the bowels of the stump convinced me that you're just a stump.
Well, what I was going to say is that the one of the 2 shots, the one behind me where he's sort of looking at me, that's the face before it glared at me. So I think maybe it was the same one that was pretending to be a stump 3 years earlier. That was standing behind me watching me doing the comparison shot. And by the way, I gave him a nickname. I call him Glowers.
Glowers.
He's good at glowering.
You're like, what's that guy doing back up here again?
Yeah. Well, we only show up every few months, and then we'll just walk around and look at their tree structures and take pictures of them, and then we'll kind of leave again. So I'm sure we got their attention.
Go and find all the new stuff that they've built, and they're like, dang it, now I got to go build new stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure what's got their attention is that we figured out how to go from one structure to another, which ones are the trail markers. Oh, there's something over here, and then we'll walk right over to it. Or we'll find an actual, trail that they've used enough that there's still impressions of their feet on there, and you can tell it's not a normal game trail, and it's not something humans have been walking on. And, so I'm sure they got their little sentinels following us around while we're doing all this, going, well, these humans apparently know that we are making these and are following our trails. Who the hell are these guys, So I'm sure
all right,
got
boss,
their
what
attention.
do we do now?
Yeah. And we never do anything else, though. We don't bring them anything. We don't bother them. We don't try and make any whoops or anything. We're nice and quiet. We just walk in, take pictures, leave again.
What's up with these people not trying to do anything? They just take pictures of my stick structure.
Yeah, it's like they know that we're here, but that's as far as they're going with anything.
These people don't make sense. There's something wrong with them.
See, exactly. That's why I'm sure that they're like way, way curious about what we're up to at this point. Which is probably why that was that time they were up there. That we actually caught them in the video. We heard them. They were making tree snaps and stuff near us to get our attention. It was like they were trying to get us to come over closer to get a look at us or something. I don't know what they were up to, but that's how we caught them on video by accident.
It would be cool to know exactly what they're thinking when something like that's going on.
Yeah.
Because it is thinking. They're contemplating what's going on. It'd just be interesting to know.
Yeah, and they're still active up there. I mean, when we got up there, there's no human tracks going into that area at all. There's a big, well-used hiking path, and when you get up to one part of the mountain where it turns and goes to the right, we just turn and go to the left, and there was no human tracks going through the snow over there at all. There was a few deer tracks and whatnot, but that was it. So there's not people going over there. And the teepee that they had up last fall, September, is completely gone. I mean, gone. Every stick removed somewhere else. Who knows what they did with it, but, And, they put up some new stuff, and they've taken down old stuff, and every time we go up there, they've changed things around, so it's worth going up there and documenting it. And I'm sure they're like at this point going, well, why are they up here walking around looking at these sticks every few months? You know, what are they up to? So they're smart, they're curious. I'm sure we got their attention, and that's just kind of helping us. Maybe they'll get close and step out and do a tap dance for us to videotape or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Now, I haven't been able to be out there for a long time, and here recently I've got to go out once or twice.
Well, that's fun. What happened while you were out there? Did you guys run into anything? Did you see any signs?
Man, I wish I would have noticed tree structures way back when more than I did. Would have known more about it, because man, where Mark, he's on the on the Glagg land channel a bunch. Great guy. He taken me and showed me a few places that he goes to, and man, the structures are just incredible.
You're talking
I wish I
about
knew exactly what all of them meant, but next time we go, I'll try to take some pictures and put them up on the Glagg land channel and send them to you.
Right on. You're talking about Mark Taylor Gardner.
Yes.
He's got a Bigfoot group too, right?
Yes. A couple different ones. The first night that I would been out in years, we got screamed at. I don't think it was screamed at us. We heard a scream, that unmistakable lion's roar mixed with a woman screaming bloody murder.
Yeah.
And I think I hear that's that's usually a female giving birth is what a lot of people said that probably is. I don't know, but and it was definitely attention grabbing.
Yeah, right, because they're loud.
Yeah, we weren't super close to it, but man, it was loud, and you could tell it was a ways away. But man, it came through crystal clear too on the camera.
Well, I'm glad you got a good vocal recording. That's part of the problem with a lot of the video cameras and stuff, is you may be able to get good video with them, but unless something's right next to you, it doesn't seem to pick up on the mic very well.
Yep.
So you could be walking along going, oh, did you hear that? There's a couple of wood knocks, and oh, there was a hoop over there, and and it's like none of it's picking up on the mic, dude. People are not going to be hearing this.
That I have my extremely high dollar faux pro. I mean, extremely low dollar faux pro, but it takes very good pictures, and actually the sound is a lot better than I ever thought it would be.
Nice.
Next time we go out, I'll take that and see if I can't get some stuff to post up for you guys. And he's not impeded by physical ailments, and he has to keep slowing down for me. But maybe I'll get a wheelbarrow and let him push me around, riding the wheelbarrow, so we can cover more ground quicker.
Well, you need to slow down a little bit anyway, because I've seen one video where he was running around filming stuff, and he walked right past a couple things that looked like tracks to me because he was so busy going too fast. So,
and I told him that also, and he's trying. He has the last couple of videos that I saw him post. He has been trying to slow down and take a slow pan around.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, though. I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah,
hanging
definitely.
out with Mark.
Yep. I'll make sure I
Anybody
put
wants
up
to come out, you can come hang out in my shop like he does, and we'll go out and see if we can hug the Wookiee.
No, don't hug the Wookiee.
Not hug the
Do not hug the Wookiee.
Okay, yeah, that was it. I had a bit confused.
Yeah, just because your Wookiee was friendly and you can hug him doesn't mean anybody else can hug any other Wookiee that they were.
No, just my Wookiee. Only my Wookiee. And only me.
Like, I wouldn't go try and hug Mr. Big up there in Patty Canyon.
No.
Nope.
He might not think you're trying to hug him.
Yeah, judging by the size of him, I'm not sure I could hug his arm.
I know. That guy is big.
God, scary. Well, they do have big ones up here, and, I keep telling people that on the one hand, yeah, it's really hard ground, and you don't tend to find impressions of anything that's light because it's just not heavy enough to make a track. But when all the tracks you're finding are between like 16 and 20 inches, it's like, yeah, these guys are big. anything else we need to cover here? We talked about Glagland. What's Mark's two groups?
M-Beast is one of them.
M-B-E-A-S-T.
Yeah,
Yep.
M-B-E-A-S-T.
Not to be confused with M-Best, Sawdust team that do the audio analysis down in the Deep South there. There's some good guys, too, by the way. Go check them out.
There's a lot of good people that I have met because of this, and just saying thank you to, the people how cool they've been, and there's so many good people that I have met, and I never expected it. It's just awesome, the type of people that, it's let me meet, put me in contact with. It's been great.
Yeah, and I got to tell, just for the benefit of the listeners out there, especially people that are newer into the Bigfoot thing and whatnot, that don't get discouraged when you run into organizations and or people that are high profile, and then, you find out something about them that makes you go, oh, I don't believe them, or they're jerks, or something along those lines. And, don't let it bother you, because it's just like the music industry or the movie industry or TV or anything like that, the ones with the big mouths tend to get to the top first. And they're not necessarily the best. As a matter of fact, they're not. There's a lot of really good researchers out there, really good people all over the country, all over the world that are interested in this and are doing their own little bit on it, that are getting no recognition. Nobody knows who they are. And most of them prefer it stays that way, because they don't want to be high profile. They're not selling a movie. They're not trying to hawk a book. They're just interested in this, and they're doing their own little bit to try and figure it out. So my hat's off to all those people. Those are the real researchers as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
And,
people out there walking away that don't want the spotlight.
Yeah, exactly. And I tend to go find them and then drag them into the spotlight, kicking and screaming all the way. So
like it me.
Yeah, well, you can look forward to more of that. Because I'm all about finding these other researchers like myself that have been out there for umpteen years and just didn't want to be involved in the community, and I got kicked into it, dragging and screaming. So I might as well do the same for some other people.
Yep. One thing I did want to mention is I am working on getting Glagland T-shirts made. There's been a lot of people asking about them, and I am working on it. I don't know exactly how long it'll be. I have somebody that I'm talking to that will do the printing and everything, but it's in the works. So.
And Sabila Irwin's doing the artwork for it.
Yes. Sabila is amazing.
Yes, she is. She's a great artist, very nice person, too. And yet again, another person that's out there that, totally interested in Bigfoot, goes out and looks around and that sort of stuff. And they have their own little bit that they're doing. And, if we all just would work together and quit fighting with each other, we'd be getting a lot further, a lot faster.
Yeah, that's something that I've tried to say on the Glagland channel is, if we all work together, we'd get so much farther. The infighting that happens, I think, is ridiculous. There's too much ego, is what I believe it is.
Yep.
And if you take the ego out of it, we'd look at how much farther we would be.
Yeah, well, there's just too many people that are in this because they want to be the one that proves Bigfoot's real, and they won't share information because somebody else might get ahead of them and prove that Bigfoot's real. Bigfoot's real. It's already been proven. It's a known genome in Zoo Bank. Go look it up.
Yep. And if you are sitting on information, I think that you are part of the problem.
Yep.
If you have something that could help, why not let it help? Why keep it hidden? I don't think that everything should be put out there, but you know what I'm getting at by that, I think.
Oh, I agree. And there's, people that have spent decades on this that are very bright, know all about the wilderness, great hunting and tracking skills. Where's the corpse on the table? If it was possible for one person to do this by themselves, it would have happened already, folks.
I think it has already happened, and if it happens again, they're not going to be able to put one out there for everybody to see. I think there's a vault somewhere at the Smithsonian that's got a whole bunch of them in it, or wherever it's at.
Well, according to one of my insiders, there has actually been more than one case of people killing Bigfoot, trying to drag it into a media outlet and prove it, and it never happened. They got stomped. Bigfoot got taken away. They had, unwelcome visitors all over them immediately.
And told to be quiet about it.
Yeah.
You didn't do what you just did. It was a bear.
Yeah. Or just, disappeared.
Yep.
So, and, don't forget there's like people that are all worried about, we need protection for Bigfoot. Bigfoot's already protected. There's an Undocumented Species Act that says if you shoot an undocumented species, you can be fined up to $1 million or do 10 years in prison or both.
Okay.
So they're all
Look at the people. Look at the people out there hunting for them, and how long did it take with the people that know they're out there that you still can't find one very easily? Why do we need to protect them? They stay away from us. They protect themselves.
Well, that's another thing, too. People that are thinking backwards, if we tell people that they're real, then there'll be all kinds of people out there trying to shoot one. There's people out there trying to shoot one right now because they're trying to prove that it's real. If it's real, they're not going to have any motivation to go out and shoot one. It's already been proven to be real. Duh.
Oh, we've got to protect them from those type people. Well, those type people are trying to prove they're real. If they are proven, exactly. Well,
there's no reason to go shoot one. And the fact of the matter is, if they were that damn easy to kill, somebody would have killed one and brought one in by now. They're just not that easy. Okay, they're the smartest thing on the planet besides us. Whether they're smarter than us or not, who knows? But they're damn smart, and they're super sneaky, and they spend their whole lives learning how to be super sneaky. So what the hell chance does dumbass humans have of nabbing one of these things? Even with all our high tech, it's still going to be super tough. You're going to have a huge team. It's ridiculous. I don't know what people are thinking. And if we get the species proven to be real, all that's going to do is actually add to our safety. It's not really going to have anything to do with them because they're perfectly fine with us not believing that they're real and hiding in plain sight, and we're too damn dumb to figure out that they're real.
Exactly.
So, it's like, if we prove that they're real, all that essentially is going to do is let the public know that there's this other thing out in the woods that you should be careful of, and here's the warning signs, and just like, basic information on a grizzly bear, if you're going to be camping in grizzly country, here's what you need to know. And that's all that it comes down to, really. That's it.
Don't
just let people know there's something out there. Here's the warning signs. If something roars at you or throws a tree at you, might be time to leave. And, don't shoot at them. Yeah. And whatever you do, don't shoot at them. Unless it's life and death and it's trying to kill you, don't shoot at them.
You shoot at them, that's going to definitely give you a bad encounter.
Well, yeah. And, even if you manage to drop one, they're almost always in a group. So there's more than one there anyway. So don't shoot at them. All right, brother. Well, you got anything else you want to add? Or?
Well, no, I think let them know that I will come up with more as I continue to listen through it again with the ear that I am listening to it now and picking up on the stuff that I think I should have covered that I started on and didn't.